Good evening, afternoon, morning, whatever time it is, whenever you're watching. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my channel. Sorry about the lighting, it's probably a little weird. I am dealing with kind of like an allergy cold thing that I've had for a little while now. Usually I film my videos in advance. So my last video was probably a week ago. Anyway, trees are blooming, people have germs, who knows. But what I can tell you is a wonderful, amazing, delicious soup like Zupa Toscana will cure any ailment that ails you. I first had this recipe at a restaurant called Olive Garden. So at Olive Garden they have soups that you can order before you have your food, and they have like a minestrone, I want to say maybe like a wedding soup or something like a bean soup, and then Zupa Toscana. And this is a very delicious soup, and you can make it in many different ways, which some of those I'll mention in the video. And in the description below, I will have more exact measurements for you. Alright, I'm going to dice up some onions and garlic, and I'm going to get it going in my pot. If you wanted to, you could also cook up a little bit of bacon to kind of top on your soup at the end, but you certainly don't have to do that step. So I have my onions here, and how I'm going to cut them is I'm going to kind of just slice it like this, and then what will happen is as you stir it around in the pot, it'll just break up naturally, but then two, all those slices here will just brown more easily in your pan, adding extra flavor. Onions are no joke. Alright, I've got 2 onions sliced here, and then what I'm going to do is I made some bacon earlier this morning, and I'm going to add some of that in here, and I'm going to cook down my onions a little bit. Okay, I'm working on a chicken scrap bucket, and while I'm doing that, I'll just prepare my kale right now. You don't need your kale until the very end, but I'll show you. I did a kale chip video, I'll see if I can link it below, where I did the same thing, and basically you see the spine here of the kale, and you just rip away the pieces from the spine. And the pieces are what you want, the spine you don't. It's just too bitter. Give your chickens. And all this kale will really wilt down at the end. So if I want to, I can go through and do a rough chop, or just kind of pull it apart like that. So I've got their bucket of goodies here. I also broke up some eggshell. So when you lay an egg, you want to let it dry out for a little while, and then break it up and give it back to them, because they need the calcium. And every now and then, I take a little bit of red chili flake, and I give them some. They can't, the heat of something, they can't taste it, it doesn't affect them. but it warms up their insides and it helps boost their immune system. So every now and then, I just put a little bit of red chili flavour. And give them a stir. So I kind of have my onions on like a medium. I'm getting some nice color on there, and they'll really soften and get a lot of flavor. What's the word I'm looking for? It's gonna come to me when I'm editing this, and I'll put it in there. When you cook onions on like a low temperature for a really long time, it'll come to me. Anyway, so we'll just hang out here for like 20 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna add my sausage. Okay, I have to show you these eggs. Look at that. Aren't those beautiful? Not 2 weeks ago, these were quite a bit smaller. Look at that. So pretty. Almost too pretty to eat. Almost. Told you I think of it. Caramelize. We are caramelizing these. Look at that. So it's probably been about 20 minutes now. They're probably halfway there. You could certainly just brown them for like 10 minutes and then add your sausage, but adding this step just makes just an extra layer of flavor. And I've got the time anyway, so. Alright, this is where we are. They are all basically a brown color, translucent. Alright, time to add some seasonings. I personally really love the hot sausage in this recipe. Something about the heat, even if you don't like spicy things, something about the heat in here just really adds a nice depth of flavor. So I'm gonna add, let me measure it just so I can see it for everybody. I've got a teaspoon measurement here. So I'm gonna do 1.5. Not exact, a little under, but about 1.5 teaspoons of that. I wanted to measure that because I just eyeball everything, but I know for some people they have to kind of know. Stir that around. The heat will wake up the spices in the bowl, so that's why I do it at this point. I would add fresh garlic if I had it, but unfortunately I just looked at it and it is not so fresh. So garlic, some thyme. Thyme and rosemary go great with any type of sausage recipe. Stuffing, if you think of stuffing. I don't need onion. What else? I love curry powder in almost everything. This is optional. Curry powder has a lot of really nice sweet heat spices that I really like. Add a little cumin. And this is all flavors that I like. Again, in the description I'll put more of an exact recipe, but this is what I like. Some really yummy paprika. This is my favorite brand right here. And let's add some green. Oops, sorry. Let's do Italian seasoning. pretty good amount of that. And some oregano. If I had it as well, I would add some cooking wine to this, if it were me, but I don't have any. Again, this recipe is very forgiving and versatile. If you're in a curry kind of mood, add curry spices. If you just want salt and pepper, garlic, really simple, this would be perfect. It's just really yummy because it's beef flavor. And so, well, we're going to add sausage, but we're going to add beef broth to it. I've also done chicken broth with this, and that's really good too. Alright, we're going to let those hang out for just like 1 minute, and then I'm going to add my sausage. Okay, we've got our sausage cooking in there. I'm going to break it up really well in here. And you shouldn't need to add really any extra oil because the sausage is fatty enough. And we're going to get really nice brown on it too. You're not burning it, you're browning it. If you wanted to, if you had a cast iron, that's what this would be really good for, but I just want to cook in one pot. Alright, I'm just going to be breaking this up and stirring every now and then and letting it brown really nicely. Alright, this is about 10 minutes later, and I'm still breaking it up, letting it brown, and I'm just going to keep doing this, moving it around and then letting it sit every so often until all of the sausage is cooked. Okay, so this recipe usually calls for like, I think 3 russet potatoes. But I really personally love a sweet potato. This is all I had, the ones that were packaged. My husband doesn't want any sweet potato, so I just got one, just enough for me to enjoy with this meal. If you don't like sweet potato, buy russet. Russet's the best because it holds up to the hot beef broth. Yukon is good too, just be mindful not to cook it too long. You could also add some like rigatoni in there too, or penne pasta would be good too. But my personal favorite, just some sweet potato. Sausage is done, which it is almost there, maybe like 2 more minutes. I'm going to be adding my beef broth. This is what I have. You'll have to excuse my appearance. It is allergy season. It is here. Okay, so this is my personal favorite. Better than bouillon. It's really good. And I believe, let's see, 1 teaspoon per 8-ounce boiling water. So I've got some water going here that's warming up, and I'm going to be dissolving this in. Sometimes what I just do is I just take a small spoonful, like a teaspoon amount, like I'd done earlier. I plop it in there, and then I add my warm liquid, and that dissolves too. Whatever you want to do. And you can always taste to see if you need to add any more. You know what I do. I usually measure with my heart. Okay, I've got my hot liquid right here. I'm going to add, I have 24 ounces of water in here. I'm going to add about 3 heaping teaspoons here. Not super exact. You can always add a little bit more liquid. But I find, sorry about the barking, my dog's ready to come in. I find that this really isn't too salty. If you were using beef like stock in a, in a can or whatever, I would use 4 cans and 2 boxes of beef broth. can already tell I'm probably going to need just a little bit more. So, because I have some at the bottom here, I'm just going to trying to make this a little bit more soup-like. But if you wanted this more like a stew, what I have right here is perfect. Let me show you. You can see that. I just want a little bit more liquid because I'm adding my sweet potato. Alright, I'm cubing up my sweet potato. When your pot comes up to a boil, you're going to bring it down to closer to a medium, and then you're going to cook your potato. If you are doing a noodle instead, I would cook that separately myself. Otherwise, if you added it to that hot liquid, it would be really mushy. You know who really loves sweet potato? Sit. Sit. Wait. Easy. Good. My dog. Okay, so I've got my sweet potato cooked up here. I'm going to wait for my pot to come up to boil. So we just finished dinner and it was delicious. Top it with whatever cheese you like. Parmesan's really good too. Other veggies that go really well in here, you could do a can of black beans, you could do some corn, you could do some carrot, that would be really good too. There's really no wrong way to make this soup. And yeah, it's just delicious and it freezes really well too. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video today, and I will see you next time.